Hey planner friends, how's it going? Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. My name is Ryan and this is Man with the Plans. And we're back to dive into a May budget for 2021. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Go ahead and click that subscribe button if you like personal finance, personal development, and planning. We've got tons of that coming up in spades here. If you are new here though, I am a single adult that is working their way through the Dave Ramsey plan. I started back right out of college, over $60,000 in debt. I've been able to pay all of that off. I'm somewhere in between baby step 3B and baby step 4. I've got a video coming out on that about where I'm headed. But you'll notice today, we've got the month of May. I'm using the sticker subscription kit from Erin Condren here, and I'm also in my Erin Condren monthly planner here. And what I do normally is I'll go ahead for every single month and every single day I will put down the expenses as they come in, and ultimately I create this budget here and I track all of my spending throughout the month. So the way that I like to break this down, I've got my income up top, we've got my expenses, and then I like to do an estimate and actual in terms of income and outgo. I follow a zero-based budget, so this number should be 0, so hopefully that's how we go. We'll dip on over to the emergency fund, kind of see where those things lie, talk a little bit about retirement planning, and then we'll touch base on my sinking fund. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and flip that over. We'll go ahead and zoom in over here. Alright, so for the month of May, I will be paid twice, which is always fun. I totally forgot that in my April budget, which I'll link up here, I forgot that the April was a 3-paycheck month. So there is an extra bit of income that I was able to put towards some of my financial goals, which is always fun, always appreciate that. So we're gonna estimate that both of my paychecks for my day job are going to remain consistent for the year at $2,075 each. I have a lot of things taken out for retirement already through para and those other types of things, so that's just something I like to plan for. And then other income, this really depends, YouTube and other places in total. I like to just bank on that. And overall, when you add up all of this, it should be $4,400 for the month of May. Not too shabby. I've cut back. I used to have a side hustle, so I was really working a lot, but I've realized that I should be able to live on less and then, kind of stretch that dollar a little bit further. So I've separated from that work, but I've got some other things planned for the year and I'm kind of looking forward to it. But let's go ahead and shift gears and talk a little bit about expenses. You'll notice I added 2 portions here of expenses, just something to take note of for me that I'm just including as a non-negotiable, and we'll get to those in just a second. So the first thing here, likely the biggest expense everyone has, is living, and my apartment currently is $1,662. I live in Minneapolis, and so that's probably a little bit more than I'd like to pay, but you know what, my lease ends in August, and so I'm starting to already look for someplace else a little bit more affordable, so that should be a fun journey. If you want to see my whole process of looking for an apartment, I can certainly do a video. Leave me a comment down below though, I'd love to hear from you. Up next though is insurance. This is auto and a few other little things, my renter's insurance all looped in here. So that's $93 from State Farm. I actually think I might shop around for this in the month of May. I don't know, I'm just curious. I'd like to see what other rates I can get. I kind of just started with State Farm because my parents had a policy and I was kind of bundled in there, but maybe I could save a little bit of money. So just something to note. Next up is my internet through CenturyLink at $80. That's pretty standard. I might actually give them a call. I recently watched a Budget Girl video. I'll leave it linked down below. So it's like 50 things to do to cut costs. And it was interesting because one of the ones was kind of calling and haggling about your internet bill. So I might do that and see if I can save some money. And I love Budget Girl. She's one of the people that kept me really motivated on the baby steps. So I'll leave a link to her channel down below. She's fantastic and she's really been wonderful for me too. So really appreciate that. Next up is my sinking fund. This is a Capital One 360 account that I just move money to in preparation for expenses. I've been doing this for years and it's been really helpful for me to stay on budget. So for example, my license needed to be renewed, and so I kind of just took the funds. It was only $32, but I just knew I needed it and just kind of moved it from there, and it never really counted as an expense. So kind of fun. And I mapped this out. It comes to $341.50. So that's fun, keeps everything in line there. Up next, this is the new one, retirement. So what I did was I took 15% of my take-home income prior to taxes, and I just went ahead and I'm gonna put it here under retirement. So it's at $650 is what I did. I rounded that up there. And this is just gonna be a non-negotiable. This will go fill up my Roth IRA to start with, and anything beyond that, I will just start investing. I've been using M1 for a lot of index funds, so just continue buying those up as a long-term kind of buy and hold type situation. I'm no expert when it comes to stocks or anything like that, but I just know that that's something that I felt really good about, and so that's been a fun adventure for me. Up next here is M1 Finance. This will be $150 that I'm putting in there. And so this is generally focused on index funds, but I also have some dividend funds like AT&T, 3M is in there. I also have stuff like I think Pepsi, and I think there's one or two other ones that have some dividend yields. I'm not really trying to focus on that too much, but you know, those are all companies that I generally believe in. I've had AT&T as my wireless provider like my whole life, so those types of things. I'm really just dipping my toe into the stock market. So if you want to see videos around my M1 Finance selections and those types of things, go ahead and let me know. The next thing we have going for us is home savings. So the housing market is kind of white hot here in Minnesota. I've started tentatively looking at properties. It's just maddening how fast houses go and for how much more overpriced that they are. So I'm not fully ready to purchase, but I'm just gonna put as much as I can that's left over from my monthly expenses into just a fund to be able to just leave there and just have to amp up a down payment. In the event that I need to use it for other types of things, it'll just be waiting there. So this month it looks like $588.50 is where I'll be sending that. So that should be something I'm looking forward to. It's just a non-negotiable. All of the things up here, these top 6 or 7, are things that generally won't change from month to month, so the actual should be the same number and the difference should be 0. The way that I like to set this up is I like to track if I'm up or over on some expenses. These ones down here are not fixed expenses. These are your variable, so groceries, gas, personal spending, restaurants, YouTube, and utilities all tend to fluctuate based on behavior. So these might change, and this is where I like to kind of keep track of what's going on in my life. So the next thing here is groceries. I have this at $300. I am just one person, but I feel like I've been spending more money lately. I've had a few friends over for some small gatherings since we're all vaccinated, and so just keeping that in mind as we go. So $300, I usually come in under budget, but I just like to have that padding if I need it. Next up is gas. My car is pretty good on gas. It's only about 5 or 6 years old, and so I generally get about I go through 2 gallons, 2 tanks at most in a month. I haven't been doing a lot of driving still, so I just gassed that at $60. Next up is personal spending, and I have this at $200. So this includes things like haircuts, toothpaste, toothbrush, vitamins, you know, all sorts of things like that. They're all looped into here, whether if I go shopping for clothes or something like that, it all goes into personal spending. So that's where I like to keep that, and $200 seems very reasonable. Next up is restaurant, and I have that at $100. Again, I'm still not going out as much as I used to or would like to, but this right now is a little bit of padded room if I decide I wanted to go ahead and, you know, stop by Taco Bell, for example. And last but certainly not least is YouTube. These are just things that I would pay for monthly expenses, whether that's my picture editing software. I use Canva Pro, which I absolutely love, or TubeBuddy or things like that. I just know that if I need to buy something related to this channel, I have a little bit of money to do so. I'm thinking about buying some lights since I'm trying to do some more of those face videos, and I just want to, you know, up the quality. At some point I'll likely need another camera, you know, those types of things. And last but certainly not least, utilities. This is water, hot and cold and electric, and I have that at $100. I feel like we're at the point in Minnesota where you switch from the months of April and May are one of those where it's like 38 degrees, you know, 80 degrees up and down all over the place. So you're switching from hot to cold pretty rapidly. So I'm just preparing for that to be a bit of a fluctuation. All right, so we add up all of our expenses, and the way that you know this works out nicely is it should match your income. So total expenses, $4,000, $400 on the nose, which, you know, I did a little bit of math there to figure out my home savings, make sure that there was some left over, stuff like that. But I'm really excited. So what I'll do down here then is we'll just move into here. I like to just keep this really tidy. So you have my income here. This is what I'm anticipating I'll make, and my expenses should match that completely like we just did. So with a zero-based budget, the income you have left over at the end of the month will be, bada bing, 0. Look at that. So, and then I'll go ahead and update all of these columns as they come in with some of the bills and expenses as we go. So that's always fun. We are done with this first half of the budget. I'm super excited. Let's flip on over and do a little bit of an emergency fund update. So, the thing that cracks me up, I created a fund here back in, oh gosh, I think it must have been September when I finished my debt snowball. And I was looking for a high yield savings account, but the funny thing is that nothing really seems particularly high yield, and if I'm being quite honest, every time I've turned around, interest rates keep going lower and lower and lower and lower. So I'm really not earning much interest every single month, which is kind of hilarious. So I started doing auto deductions for the extra bit here, and I'm moving that over just for house saving as well, right from my checking. I'm trying, every time I get paid, I'm just trying to make it as thoughtless as possible, so I don't have to actively think about this. I just know that this portion is going towards my Roth, this portion is going towards my home savings. So when we start off my emergency fund here, it's fully tapped out, and it is just sitting there at $12,013.37. So I don't plan on contributing anything to the emergency fund, and I don't know if there's going to be a withdrawal, but I'll include that in here. And then any interest I'll earn, we'll be able to track that and see at the end of the month. And then I'll have my ending balance. I just like doing this to be able to kind of close out the month and be able to check in on that, so that's all good. The next thing here, I just started to plan for retirement and kind of keep that in the back of my mind. My pension plan takes 6.5% out of my paychecks every single month, so I don't have to think about that, which meant I had to kind of fill, if we're talking about the Dave Ramsey 15%, I was really looking for 8.5% of my take-home pay. So this is going directly towards my Roth right now, and then once I hit that 6,000 mark, I'll be able to switch over, like I mentioned, to continuing to grow some of that portfolio with the M1 Finance related to some of those ETFs that I've been really enjoying. So that's done. I will do an in-depth video on that as we move along, but for now, that's all you really need to know. Nothing too crazy over there. So my sinking fund, this is what I mentioned, it's Capital One 360. I generally have it broken up into 6 different categories or things that I'm focusing on. Generally, when I think about a sinking fund, it's something I know I'm going to have to spend money on, and so instead of having it impact my budget, I just put money aside every single month so that when things come due, I actually just transfer the money over and it's like it never happened to my budget. So things that I love to use my sinking funds for, car tabs. It's the same amount generally here in Minnesota on a yearly basis. You do the renewal. I know it's in August every single time, so bada bing bada boom, get the car tab and you're done. So, or like Christmas, for example. I know that every year I'll be buying Christmas gifts for family and friends and doing Christmas cards and those things like that. I should save for it ahead of time so I don't need to worry about it. So let's go ahead and talk through all of the current state that we start with the sinking fund and see what we're planning. Alright, so in terms of sinking fund, we've got ourselves, I've left this capped for quite a while, $300 in terms of medical. I have an HSA, and I have pretty good health insurance. This really is just helping to, if I need to, meet my minimum or kind of move things along that way. Just super helpful. The next thing is car maintenance, car replacement. So I love my car. I paid it off, I think 2 years ago now. It's a Subaru Crosstrek. I know though at some point it's going to need more hardy maintenance, and so I've just dedicated $50 a month to be put away towards this. So $550 is the amount I have starting in there. When we get to car tabs, I think I'm just about paid off, ready to go with this expense. But that fund is at $200. My travel fund, which this originally was meant for in the event of a family emergency or something that required me to go back to New York where I originally came from. Let's go Islanders, who just made the playoffs. Now this is me thinking also long-term about where I like to go, so Greece and Iceland and other places. And so I'll put this at $720. This is kind of the remainder one there, $720.44. And then Christmas, we are currently at $400, which I think is great. Going into May, I've got about 6 months to continue to fund that, so I'll have a nice chunk of change ready to go for when the holiday season comes around. And I forgot dollar signs here. And then last but not least is Go Wild. Now, Go Wild is a planner conference that happened every year. Unfortunately, 2020's was postponed, and then 2021 has actually been moved to 2022. So this sinking fund has been pretty much topped off since middle of last year, but I know that I'm gonna go every single year. I find it so important. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just go like this and leave this fund here, $1,306. It's all done. I don't need to worry about it. Nothing for me to even concern myself with, it just sits there. So, total sinking fund amount to start with for the month of May is $3,476.44. Now the fun thing is we know what the contribution will be. It's going to be that number from my budget earlier, $341.50. What we don't know is if I'm going to need to use this for anything. So we'll leave that there, and then we'll do any interest. And so similarly, I broke these out. Now you could get a larger interest rate if you put, you could get some compound interest if you paired these two together, but I really feel like keeping this in a separate place that I don't really keep the app on my phone. I just leave it off to the side. It's money that I don't think about because I don't really want to be compelled to use it. So by splitting these up, yes, I take a hit in compound interest, but I know that I'm able to access this in real time. I've actually done the transfer on my phone in the midst of paying for something. Like last time I got my oil changed and my tires rotated and stuff, I just did it in real time. Super convenient. So I like to keep them separate. That's just a peace of mind thing for me. I won't know if there's any withdrawal until the end of the month, but we'll then have our ending total here for the end of the month. So that's gonna about wrap up this month's budget. May, the weather's finally starting to get nice here, and I feel like I am just so excited. For the first time in my life, I'm really able to enjoy a summer being pretty financially free in the sense of I don't really have any debt or anything like that. I'm just kind of planning for my future and building up a nice savings so that I can make a really great informed choice when the perfect house appears, or I'm just gonna continue preparing for retirement. Like, I just think it's so exciting to finally see these things on my budget after all of the hard work of baby step number 2. I know that for those of you that are in baby step 2, it's often sometimes tough looking at these videos like, oh, I'll never get there, and believe me, I felt the same way. But I really encourage you to think about and dream about how great it'll be, because honestly, I didn't do that, and there were some times that I wanted to give up, and I wish I had just thought about, like, if you just keep focused and you keep laser focused on your goals, like, look, you're gonna be putting, almost $600 away every month for your home, and then you're putting $650 away for retirement. Like, that's just absolutely crazy and so wonderful. So highly recommend you guys do that. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. It does help our channel out. If you haven't yet subscribed and you love budgeting, you're working through your own financial journey, or you love planning, or you love stickers and washi tape like I do here, keep it pretty like I do, go ahead and click that red subscribe button so you can see all my content in your feed as soon as it's published. Follow me over on Instagram. I'm at a man with the plans. I love those stories. I haven't yet gotten into reels, but I'm kind of considering it. So hope you guys have a great month of May. What is your big financial goal? Leave me a comment down below. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, planner friends.